Hello everyone. Today our group will be presenting about ideal norms of masculinity and femininity in the story Cinderella by Charles Perrault. My name is Raihan Damar Kresnoadhi, student number 180, and I will be explaining first. Next, please. First, I am going to explain about the ideal norms of masculinity. Masculinity is a concept of behaviors and characteristics that are associated and considered inherent within the male species. It signifies qualities which signifies a person's identity as being a man or manly. Masculinity itself is regarded in society as the dominating characteristic of identity compared to femininity, and thus hold men in a higher rank, which holds control over women and other marginalized identities, and therefore upholds the patriarchal system. Here are some of the examples of ideal norms of masculinity in Charles Perrault's Cinderella. Uh, the first excerpt from the story is as follows. The poor girl bore all patiently and dared not complain to her father, who would have scolded her if she had done so, for his wife governed him entirely. In this excerpt from the story, an ideal masculine form that is found is that the man is found to be in a high rank of power and control, thus leaving women to become fearful of them. In this particular case, in the story, Cinderella is even afraid of confessing to the mistreatment she has experienced in her own home to her own father because she fears retaliation or scolding from him. And another aspect of this excerpt could also be that men will only listen to certain women who they are romantically linked to and they deem to be worthy of respect, disregarding other women who they do not think of in that way as being below them. In this case, Cinderella's stepmother, she has gained control and successfully manipulated her husband, and it made him think that what Cinderella experiences is normal, which also makes Cinderella's objection of her condition as a sign of disrespect to him. The next ideal norm of masculinity found in the story is from the excerpt. The king's son, who was told that a great princess, whom nobody knew was come, ran out to receive her. He gave her his hand as she alighted from the coach and led her into the hall, where the company were assembled. The ideal norm of masculinity in this excerpt is a man should cater to a woman's need to be a gentleman, such as opening the door for them and being a guiding force for her. In this story, particularly, the prince made sure that he was there to welcome Cinderella as she was opening her carriage door, and he gave her his hand as a gesture to guide her to the ball. Uh, this norm of masculinity has a negative connotation because it is mentioned a great princess before the prince rushed to become a gentleman. This means that the prince or men in general will only act like a gentleman to a certain type of woman, a woman who possesses a high position in society, like a princess, or someone who is socially perceived as being attractive and fit the social standard of beauty.
So good afternoon. My name is Brigita Graciela, and I'm going to explain the next material. So, men in this story value masculinity norms such as being the leader in the society, do not society portraying a strong figure who wield power and respect the higher their status are. They also do not show much emotion other than infatuation or admiration towards women who they consider to adhere to the femininity norm. In the story, the man consistently points out the appearance of women or being mesmerized by their looks, not highlighting any other qualities beside that, which insinuates that masculinity usually sees women for their appearance first compared to other aspects, and their respect and attitude is relying on it. Masculinity is considered to be the quality and norm that is considered to be more respected in the story compared to femininity, as the men who are able to comply with these norms have high status in society despite the story not being centered around them. Next, please. The ideal norms of femininity. So, femininity is a set of qualities, behaviors, and roles which has the association to women and girls. Even though the belief that is upheld by sociologists, femininity is constructed by society, it has been recognized widely that some feminine characteristics are influenced by both cultural and biological factors. So this is one of the examples that we can found in uh, Charles Perrault's Cinderella, Ideal Norms of Femininity. So they were highly delighted with the invitation and wonderfully busy in choosing the gowns, petticoats, and headdresses which might best become them. They talk all day long of nothing but how they should be dressed. As the king's son arranged a party and invited all of the people to join the fun, the stepsisters hunted for gowns, petticoats, and headdresses which would be best for them. This kind of conduct adheres to the ideal norms of femininity, whereby women would like to steal the prince's or man's attention by dressing up with the best costumes they had. Femininity makes women tend to attribute greater importance to appearance than anything else, because they believe that their beauty will catch the prince's eyes. Next will be presented by my friend Bonita.
So hello everyone, my name is Bonita Laraswati Witjaksono, and here I will continue the presentation. And in this event written here, they were almost 2 days without eating, so much were they transported with the joy. They broke above a dozen laces in trying to lace themselves in tight, that they might have a fine slender shape, and they were continually at their looking glass. So we can find the ideal norm of the femininity here is when Cinderella's stepsisters were in preparation for the king's son's invitation. They made themselves starve for 2 days in order to look fine and have a slender shape, and even lace themselves tight. It indicates a beauty standard constructed by society whereby women consider themselves beauty and attractive with a thin body, although it causes them pain and suffering to do so. And next is she danced so very gracefully that they all admire her more and more. A fine collation was served, but the young prince ate not a morsel, so intently was he occupied with her. In this script, there is an ideal norm of femininity where in order for women to gain admiration and respect, she must uphold conduct and exude feminine qualities. The people at the ball only admire Cinderella because she danced gracefully. Even the prince gave her his full attention and ignored other women because of her presence. If Cinderella didn't dance as gracefully as people expected a woman should, the crowd at the ball might not have admired or given her praise or attention. Feminine qualities in this ideal norm of femininity is incredibly intertwined because it puts a standard on how a woman should exist in society. And next is the guards at the palace gate were asked if they had not seen a princess go out, and they replied they had seen nobody go out but a young girl, very meanly dressed, and who had more the air of a poor country girl than of a young lady. In this script, the guards appraise princess on costumes, as they believe that a princess should have dressed lavishly, and they consider a girl who dresses meanly is a poor country girl. How the guards describe her is a sign of an ideal norm of femininity, by saying that a young woman is meanly dressed and immediately describing her as more of a poor country girl rather than just calling her a young lady means that society judge women based on their looks first and assess her wealth, status, and degree of respect. If a young woman doesn't dress neatly or lavishly, she is automatically considered as just a girl and not a lady. The difference between a lady and a girl is the level of respect they receive, where a woman who presents a wealthy status and dress according to societal standards of women is automatically treated with more respect and deemed a lady than a young woman who is less wealthy or doesn't adhere to society's dressing standard as just a girl with a lower form of respect compared to a lady. Next will be presented by my friend.
I will continue the explanation regarding ideal norms of femininity in Charles Perrault's Cinderella. In the story, as cited in presentation, they say further that he had done nothing but look at her all the time, and that mostly certainly he was very much in love with the beautiful owner of the glass slipper. Since the beginning of Cinderella's arrival, the people who attended the event were mesmerized by the beauty of Cinderella, including the prince. It was mentioned that the prince even cannot turn his head to the other direction other than looking at Cinderella, because he was enchanted by her beauty, in which people assumed that the prince was madly in love with Cinderella. Cinderella was mentioned as quote-unquote the beautiful owner of the glass slipper, which made the prince very much in love instead of referring to Cinderella as quote-unquote the owner of the glass slipper. The absence of beautiful in the beautiful owner of the glass slipper has the ability to make a big shift, as the phrase illustrates the emphasis on the physical appearance. They somehow implied that a woman should be very pretty and physically attractive to captivate a man or a prince, someone who is in a possession of a prominent position. A regular woman or someone that is described as quote-unquote the owner of the glass slipper may be constructed by society as not being designed for a reputable man to be in love with, as someone who is beautiful is more likely to be accepted. Next. Another proof that we cite in the story is the gentleman who was sent to try the slipper looked earnestly at Cinderella and, finding her very handsome, said it was but just that she should try, and that he had orders to let every lady try it on. We can infer from the story we cited that the men who were assisting in trying the slippers on women all over the kingdom almost did not let Cinderella try on the slipper. However, due to him seeing that Cinderella is attractive or handsome, he decided she should be given the chance to try it on. This insinuates an ideal norm of femininity in society, where the level of attractiveness a woman possesses or how much she fits into the societal beauty standard will greatly affect how she is treated and the opportunities she will receive. Beauty and appearance is incredibly essential in the norms of femininity and forces women to adhere to these standards in order to gain advancement in life, because if they do not, they will less likely gain the same treatment. Next. We can conclude from Charles Perrault's Cinderella, the role of women and femininity in the story, as appearance matter immensely to women in the story, as it is believed that beauty can attract people, including men, which is in this story is portrayed by the prince. The female characters in Cinderella strive to dress up nicely in attending events, therefore they are considered proper and even full still man's attention, including those who have a prominent role. By means of this story, we can also find that beauty standards has been haunting women, as it becomes the indicative of their appearance and also the chance to perceive things, including status and a sense of belonging in society. It is implied that in a society, women are often valued by physical appearance, and even their predestination depends on how they look like. Femininity also is very constricting on the rules that women hold in the society, such as being the homemaker or having domestic roles, as Cinderella was portrayed to do chores and responsibilities almost without much complaint. She even happily helped her awful sister despite their treatment. They were also portrayed to need men to escape their situation, as well as submitted to the man's orders and demands almost without question. Their feminine qualities, such as being graceful and kind, and how much they adhere to how society expects women to behave or act, becomes something that affects how they are treated and placed in society. The more they conform to society's expectation of women, they will get a better treatment than women who are unable to conform to society's ideal norm of femininity. That also concludes our presentation regarding Charles Perrault generation. Salah. That also concludes our presentation regarding ideal norms of masculinity and femininity in Charles Perrault's Cinderella. Thank you very much for your attention.